Hi and welcome back to the Quarry Garden on a gorgeous Northumberland spring day. We're very fortunate to have a few days of sunshine, so I'm going to make the most of it and start some work in the Bog Garden. But just before I start that, I thought I'd give you a brief tour of what's flowering here in the Quarry Garden in early spring, and I'm sat just behind these gorgeous double-headed daffodils. So just thought I'd start here next to this very small stumpery that I planted up, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. The daffodils, the tete daffodils are in full bloom. It's very pretty, I really like that area. A lot more to do around here as and when the soil becomes available to build this section up. But it's a good start. The daffodils, they haven't half taken a battering over the last couple of weeks. We've had a lot of storms. I've had to stake these ice folly daffodils up because they've all just collapsed with all the heavy rain we've had. We've had awful heavy frosts the last few days. So every morning they're actually just, the flowers are really bent over. But they bounce back during the day, which is good. But these sections either side of the steps are what I've started to work on in recent weeks. This side on my right, I started this last year. It was a good year ago now. I cut back these shrubs. These are just laurel shrubs. I would never recommend anyone buying these unless you're prepared to look after them because they grow so quickly. But we needed a wind barrier because the winds come right through the valley, through the top section of the quarry, and they're quite devastating. So I needed to have something quick. That was my thought process when I bought them and planted them, but now I wish I'd done something different, but never mind. I'm trying to create them into hedges. So a year ago I cut back these 3 shrubs into a hedge and it's starting to knit together, and I planted up this front section. This section here doesn't really have too much in yet. I've started to turn the soil over. Again, I had 3 large laurel shrubs down the side of the steps here, and I've only just in the last 2 weeks cut those right back. They were probably about 30 feet high. They were very tall. Cut them back, still got all the mess at the bottom to get rid of. The daffodils, again, they've done really well down the side. These were planted two or 3 years ago. The ones down either side of the grasses here haven't bulked up as much, and they were planted just a year ago. A big problem that we've got this year is with all of these grasses, because we've had a very cold winter. Not much snow, but incredibly cold and incredibly wet. And all of these grasses, which are evergreen grasses, these are pheasant's tail grass, Anemanthele lessoniana is the botanical name for them. But anyhow, a lot of them have died. There's quite a bit of growth in the bottom on some of them, but I fear that most of them are going to have to come out. I can't grumble, I didn't buy these. These were all taken from other areas in the garden as young plants. 2 years ago I put them in when we put the steps in. So I haven't actually, it hasn't cost me anything, but it's still disappointing at the end of the day. Some growth on the top ones, but you can actually see going down, these ones down the side of the steps are pretty dead, they're very brown. But if it can happen to Monty John, because he complained that he lost all of his, it can certainly happen to me too. Anyhow, let's go down into the bottom of the quarry now. So I'm down here now, next to what's going to be the Bog Garden. And I've started to turn the soil over, or the clay over, in the last couple of weeks, and that's what I've been busy doing. I've decided, because it's such heavy work, and this time of year it's really difficult when it's always wet, to separate this out into 4 sections. So it'll be 4 phases as such. The far side will be phase 2. This section here, where I've got the spade and the fork, this will be section 1. And I've got a big bamboo to put in here that we've dug out in the last day or 2. So I've just been turning the soil over here, but it's incredibly muddy. I'm staying on this side because it's not too bad here. But over at the far end, which floods every year, which I knew that, that's been a little bit more difficult to actually work in. So I've had to stop doing that because of the rain we've had over the last few days. The only thing over there is obviously the bamboo, and also a viburnum mauricii. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure. I planted that a year ago and it's survived, and it shouldn't really, because it's in an area that floods, but it's coming into leaf and it seems to be doing really well. Not quite sure whether it'll stay there long term. I need to decide on that, because obviously I'm going to have bog plants all around here. But it's starting and I'm really excited about this area. So let me show you the bamboo that we've dug out to actually place in this section, just to make the area a little bit more secluded. So this is the bamboo that we have dug out from a big hole behind me here. And it took quite some time, and I certainly didn't do it on my own. Mr. Quarry Garden had to come down and help me, because it was a bit of a beast. Now all of the bamboos down here, and I've got quite a few now, they all came from the White Garden originally, because in the White Garden, it's growing out my hair, in the White Garden, it was originally like a tropical type of garden. That was the type of planting that I really got into for a long time. And then I had a lot of failures. This far north in England, we do get pretty bad winters, very wet winters, and a lot of the plants, tropical type plants, struggled. So I changed it, I think it was 2 years ago, to build the White Garden, or to plant a White Garden. Anyhow, all of these bamboos were all sections that came off one plant, one original bamboo in the White Garden. And I split the plant, I think this has been down here about 3 years now, into sections, and I just placed them in the quarry down here, just to actually fill up space down here without any plan of what I was going to do with it. I should have given a lot more thought, because obviously trying to dig them out and make use of them now is pretty difficult, especially when there's clumps as large as this. And you can actually see, I had hoped I would get it out before the growth of this year, but you can actually see all of this year's growth coming through already. Possibly we'll lose some of that, but it's a nice healthy plant, so it's going to go in its position down at the far end of the Bog Garden. Okay, so that's the bamboo planted. And for those that are interested, it's a Fargesia rufa. And there's quite a few different Fargesia bamboos, but I love this particular one because of the arching way the actual stems go. I just think it's very pretty. And it's a clump forming bamboo. It doesn't spread like a normal running bamboo. It's really, really good. It actually stays in a nice tight clump. Yes, it will grow just like any perennial would grow year on year, but it takes a long time before it gets unmanageable. So I would certainly recommend this one, and I've had it in the garden for a long time. Height-wise, about 2.5 to 3 metres, around about 10 to 12 feet. And if you look over to the other side, I've actually got one there that's been in the ground about 5 years now, and it's a lovely specimen. So I'm hoping that this one will grow the same way and look as good as that one will. So that's the first plant added to the bog garden, and I started with the biggest. This certainly won't be as big as this from now on. They'll only be very small plants, and it'll take a few years for this area to mature. But I've got a lot of plants to add, so I'm really excited about it. I just need some good weather to actually get in to the bog garden and plant them. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.